ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 24, verse 47. जनो बुधोऽयं निजकर्मबन्धनः सुखेच्छया कर्म समीहते सुखम् यत्सेवया तां विदनोत्यसन्मतिं ग्रन्थिं सबिन्ध्याद् हृदयं स नो guruः. In hopes of becoming happy in this material world, the foolish conditioned soul performs fruitive activities that result only in suffering. But by rendering service to the Supreme Person of Godhead, one becomes free from such false desires for happiness. May my Supreme Spiritual Master cut the knot of false desires from the core of my heart. Oh, we read this. Oops. Yet sevayagner iva rudrarodhanam puman vijahyan malamatmanastamaha bhajeta varnam nijamesha sobhyayo bhuyat saisha paramo guror guruhu. One who wants to be free of material entanglement should take to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give up the contamination of ignorance involving pious and impious activities. Thus, one regains his original identity, just as a block of gold or silver sheds all dirt and becomes purified when treated with fire. May that inexhaustible Supreme Person of Godhead become our spiritual master, for he is the original spiritual master of all other spiritual masters. So, one wants to be free. Yeah, cover illa ನೋಡಿ. One wants to be free of material entanglement, should take to the service of the Supreme Person of Godhead and give up the contamination of ignorance. Give up the contamination of ignorance, meaning punya and papa in this world, doing activities which are good and bad, is contamination of ignorance. So one should give up this contamination of ignorance, which means that one should give up worrying about pious activities, impious activities. Of course, it's not that we are expected to do impious activities, but we don't have to go behind punya. We don't have to try and acquire punya. Because Bhagavatam is saying that one should just take to the service of the Supreme Lord, free of material entanglement. And when one does that, one regains his original identity. And the example is a block of gold or silver sheds all dirt and becomes purified when treated with fire. So devotional service is fire. We have to expose ourselves to the fire of devotional service. Of course, fire of devotional service, for the fire to blaze, you can light the fire, but the fire can be lukewarm or just, not powerful enough. By doing devotion intensely, the fire of devotional service starts to blaze, burn, and then one becomes purified. One doesn't become purified by just doing casual devotional service. Of course, devotional service is so powerful, we can't say that it doesn't purify, but it takes time. But when one does devotion with intensity, that intensity purifies us like fire. In human life, one is meant to undergo austerity to purify one's existence. Tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam shuddhyet. Because of contamination by the modes of material nature, one continues in the cycle of birth and death. Karanam guna sangosya sadasat yoni janmasu. Therefore, the purpose of human life is to purify oneself of this contamination so that one can regain his spiritual form and not undergo this cycle of birth and death. So we have to purify oneself. We have to purify ourselves of this contamination of material of this material world, which comprises of punya and papa. Of course, people don't want to do papa, but without knowing, they end up doing papa. Mm. But their whole idea is to be happy, and they are thinking that they are doing activities to be happy, but ignorantly, without knowing, if they end up doing papa, then instead of happiness, they're going to experience suffering. And unfortunately, this is the situation in today's world. People are ignorant without knowing what is right, what is wrong. And unfortunately, many people don't even want to know. They think ignorance is bliss, but ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is suffering in this material world. Knowledge is bliss. Enlightenment is bliss. Mm. The recommended process of decontamination is devotional service to the Lord. There are various processes for self realization, such as karma, jnana, and yoga, but none of them is equal to the process of devotional service. As gold and silver can be freed from all dirty contamination by being put into a fire, but not merely by being washed. The living entity can be awakened to his own identity by performing devotional service, but not by karma, jnana, or yoga. Cultivation of speculative knowledge or practice of yogic gymnastics will not be helpful. Yogic gymnastics, Prabhupada, right? So, all this asana, Prabhupada is calling it gymnastics. Meaning simply engage in some asanas, pranayama asanas is not going to color, is not going to help purify us. That's an added contamination, actually. Unfortunately, people are living thinking they're the body, and then they go to yoga classes trying to, keep their body in a much better situation. But that's also ignorance. The word varnam refers to the luster of one's original identity. The original luster of gold or silver is brilliant. Similarly, the original luster of the living being who is part of the Satchidananda Vigraha is the luster of Ananda. Oh, this is the first time I'm hearing. Hmm. So there is luster. Luster means brightness. So there is luster of Ananda. That is the original luster of living being. So which means that original luster will manifest when one starts to experience Ananda in devotional service. When one experiences the bliss of devotional service, naturally that luster of Ananda. So when one is naturally experiencing the bliss of Krishna consciousness, the original luster becomes manifested. And we should understand Ananda is the next stage of purification, meaning when one is purified, only then they can actually experience Ananda. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati na kangshati. Brahmabhuta prasannatma. So when one comes to the Brahmabhuta stage, only he can experience, he becomes a prasannatma, he becomes pleased, happy. But more importantly, Brahmabhuta is not real happiness. Brahmabhuta happiness is just a drop of the happiness, drop of happiness that one can derive out of devotion. And when one comes to the stage of pure devotional service, then they experience real happiness. And the real original luster of the jiva becomes manifest. Anandamayo bhyasat. Every living entity has the right to become Anandamaya, joyful, because he is part of the Satchidananda Vigraha, Krishna. Why should the living being be put into tribulation because of dirty contamination by the modes of nature? The living entity should become purified and regain his Swarupa. This he can do only by devotional service. Actually, sometimes, we feel pity because everybody is just living thinking that they are this body and that this body is eternal. Like this body is them, but this body is not them. This body is the covering in this life alone. The body is Vyadi Mandira, body brings suffering. In spite of all that, people can't understand that they're going behind a wrong goal. The goal to keep the body happy is a wrong goal. It's not going to give them happiness. Real happiness is on the platform of the soul. How much ever people might not want to accept it, but unfortunately, that is the truth. And simply for a moment thinking that, if when we come to our spiritual Swarupa Sthiti, what an amazing situation that would be. We have to just dream of that day when, or that time when we have realized our original constitutional position. Of course, we more that situation. It's not that we will have time or um, mindset to try and enjoy that position, because we'll be so involved in that position that we are running around here and there to do service to the Lord in that mode. So we won't even bother about, is this giving me happiness or not, because we're naturally happy and we don't have to think about being happy. Mm. So that's what we should understand, that that's the real happiness we are looking for. Nothing else. Whatever else we are going behind is just a perverted reflections. It's an illusion. It's Maya. Actual happiness is in serving Krishna. Therefore, one should adopt the instructions of the Supreme Person of Godhead, who is described here as Guru or Guru. Spiritual master of all spiritual masters. Even though we may not have the fortune to contact the Supreme Lord personally, the Lord's representative is as good as the Lord himself, because such a representative does not say anything unless it is spoken by the Supreme Person of Godhead. So this is very important. So many people call themselves Guru and speak things which are not spoken by Krishna at all. And it's so unfortunate that they are cheating people and people are getting cheated. Prabhupada says that if you want to get cheated, Krishna will send you a cheater. So it's our propensity, whether we want the truth or whether we want some thing that looks like truth, but really not the truth. Mm. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore gives a definition of Guru. Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna Upadesh. The bona fide Guru is he who advises his disciples exactly in accordance with the principles spoken by Krishna. Now, how do we know if the Guru is actually speaking the truth? Only when we have heard from Shastra. So we have to know Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. For us, at least in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada is our Sadhu. Right? And the Shastra is whatever he has given, is Shastra. So every Guru or any person in ISKCON who is talking, who is preaching, should only be speaking in line with what Srila Prabhupada has given. And if we don't know what Srila Prabhupada has given, then we can go the wrong way. And unfortunately, today devotees very blindly believe that anything that is being spoken is truth, but may not be. Not be. So we have to be careful. The bona fide Guru is he who has accepted Krishna as Guru. This is a Guru Parampara system. The original Guru is Vyasadeva because he is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein everything spoken relates to Krishna. Therefore, Guru Puja is known as Vyasa Puja. In the final analysis, the original Guru is Krishna. His disciple is Narada, whose disciple is Vyasa, and in this way we gradually come in touch with the Guru Parampara. One cannot become a Guru if he does not know what the personality of Godhead Krishna or his incarnation wants. It's very important. We have to know what Krishna wants. Hmm. The mission of Guru is the mission of the Supreme Lord, which is to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a devotee who was a bit upset with the way preaching is happening, because the devotee was initially just told, saying that you just don't eat onion, garlic, you can eat anything else. And, and the devotee thought that that is the complete truth. So she was telling me, she's in a different part of the world. So she was telling me, saying that, okay, so we took that and we were practicing according to that. Now there was Rath Yatra there, and then suddenly she is being told, saying that don't eat soya, don't eat masoor dal. Now, unfortunately, this is all known information. For us, we know that these things have to be avoided. But somehow that was not preached there. And so this Mataji, she's coming from a part of India where they normally cook masoor dal. And she was like really distraught. I mean, she was disappointed yesterday. She was saying that this is cheating, Prabhu. Why is it that they didn't tell this in the first place? And what will I convince her? What will I tell her? And this kind of preaching is what we should not do. We are worried about people running away from Krishna consciousness, but what is the point if they come to something which is not really Krishna consciousness? And then eventually, as they continue to remain in Krishna consciousness, then they are told other truths, and then they would have become used to a certain way of life, and it is going to be so difficult. Suddenly, they have a rude shock saying that, whatever you've been doing for the last few years is also, some part of it is not correct. You have to change. When somebody comes into Krishna consciousness, they'll be all the more, eager to hear and follow. Just tell them the truth then and there. Why that hesitation? Why this massaging business? Just giving them whatever we think we should give. And she told me, saying that, Prabhu, you are a preacher. Please use my example and spread this, that people should not, preachers who are preaching should give the message as it is. Now, obviously, when we tell this to preachers, preachers say, no, 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 then we are afraid people are going to run away. But isn't it better that people run away than disappointing people like this at a later point in their life? At least I personally feel that this is not a good thing, right? Um, which is why, there is one instance there was some question and answer session, and then there were some three devotees who were sitting on the panel answering questions, and for some reason they had called me. So and these are all boys and girls who are about to, as in marriageable age, they would get married in few years, like that. So then one devotee candidly asked this question, saying that, see, apparently, with respect to the four regulative principles, I'm told that illicit sex means actually not in indulging in the act even with one's wife. If it is not for procreation, if you are not wanting to produce children, engaging in this act is illicit, is not allowed. And I was sitting on the panel, and then the other two started answering. Mm, um, and first person directly, blatantly, he rejected it. He said, "This is what is that? What is the word? Fanaticism. This is fanaticism. This is not what Shastra is saying." And I was surprised, saying that, what are you talking? I mean, and this devotee is somebody who's been in Krishna consciousness more longer than me, big preacher. So many people take his guidance. And he's in front of everybody saying that, no, it's not, this is not correct. And and then the second speaker also spoke, and he also said something like that. No, I felt very awkward, because I mean, on a panel when somebody else is speaking, how can I just openly just say that what they're saying is wrong? So then I just said, I don't know if I spoke also, I don't know, maybe I spoke about it in a later connection, in another question, in connection with another question. I don't know what I did exactly, but I said, saying that as far as I've heard, this is not allowed. This is not allowed, right? And it's actually part of the regulative principle. So then I was thinking, saying that what are people doing? What is this preaching? What is the intention of this preaching? Is to say that, I can present whatever I want, but you're not the Acharya. Who has given you the right to do that? You are supposed to follow and repeat what Srila Prabhupada has said. And it's very unfortunate, actually, disappoints me. Like so-called preachers and so many people blindly follow. They blindly follow, oh, such a great preacher. This is why I was telling that Mataji, saying that Mataji, see, we have maybe 10, 15 devotees only here from us, but we are happy because they're all happy for following exactly what all needs to be followed, and they're happy in Krishna consciousness. We don't want more. We don't want hundreds and thousands of people who are not going to follow, right? Let there be only 10 people, let there be only 20 people, let there be a handful of people, but who are nicely, strictly following and experiencing happiness in Krishna consciousness. I said, that's what we want. And it's because when I read this spread Krishna consciousness, she was really unhappy. She was so disappointed. I felt so bad. Literally, I could. On the other side, I could feel that she is like, literally like tears. Why this? And she had made so many adjustments in her family to somehow make them accept these two things, and now saying that this also should not be followed. Just her question was, why was it not told in the first place? And she lost so much faith in the preaching that she was saying that, now I don't know what else I should expect. What else they're going to tell me later? So I said, Mataji, please read Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada is not anywhere. I mean, in fact, he's clearly mentioned in his book saying that this is not allowed. In conversations, he's mentioned this is not allowed. There are so many tons of proofs to know that whatever that preacher said is allowed is not allowed. So just because you are not exposed yourself to Prabhupada directly, you're possibly feeling cheated. And then she was like, I don't know if I should be in ISKCON. I said, see, why? ISKCON is just a medium for us to connect to Krishna. And the person, go-to person is Srila Prabhupada. So if you have faith in Srila Prabhupada, you remain in ISKCON. If you don't have faith, don't remain in ISKCON. What is the point? Because if you don't have faith in the founder Acharya, why should you be in ISKCON? Then don't be in ISKCON. But if you have faith in Prabhupada and understand that there are devotees who are following his path, who are trying to preach sincerely, and there are devotees like that, you might have to just find them, right? It might take some time, but it's not a hopeless situation yet, but it's getting there. It's definitely getting there, right? I mean, in terms of everything that we allow people to do today in the name of Prabhu, they are going to run away. We are actually cheating people. And this is not, I'm sure Prabhupada is not happy with this. Because he never took this approach in his books, right? Or in his preaching. He said, I came to give Vedic culture. I mean, just imagine, he was in the worst of cultures in the world. He could have compromised to any extent. Nobody would have questioned. And today people would have just accepted, saying that, okay, Prabhupada did this, so I'm going to do. But he didn't compromise an inch anywhere. Right? Why? Because he said, I have come here to give, not to take. Why did Prabhupada have to go through the trouble of teaching Prabhus how to wear dhoti, teaching Matajis how to wear sari? Why did he have to do all that? Because he wanted to give the original Krishna conscious culture. And unfortunately, today we are giving something else totally different. What? I was feeling very bad yesterday. I had a long conversation with that Mataji and she was so disappointed. I felt really bad, One jiva who came sincerely to Krishna consciousness, this so-called nonsense preaching has just spoiled her. She's feeling so cheated. And I felt responsible because she'd heard few classes before of mine and then she connected with me. Said, yes, Mataji, I will definitely bring it out. At least let it be in my classes. At least let our devotees hear that whoever we bring to Krishna consciousness, we are not going to cheat them. We are not going to tell them half-baked information. Okay, we might not talk to them about pure devotional service, but we should tell them saying that at least first initially that we should tell them about following principles and what the principles are, right? And then telling that devotion has to be done for the pleasure of Krishna, not for our pleasure, and that the goal of life is to achieve Krishna. We can take it, based on the speed at which they are able to understand, but without, we should never have the intention of not disclosing something in a structured way. And Mataji's problem was yesterday, just by chance, this topic came up. It was not like, as part of the preaching, okay, stage one, stage two, stage three. No, not like that. Just like that, the topic came up. And she just heard now suddenly from nowhere saying that, this is not supposed to be. And she said, why? Why was it not told before? So we have to be careful, in terms of how we preach, what we preach. Let's not be worried about hundreds and thousands of people coming. Let's give the message as it is, and let's expect sincere souls to come. Non-sincere souls will anyway they will go somewhere, anyway, they're not sincere, right? What is the point? What is the point? Right? Okay, if they get Krishna consciousness also, they don't want to follow Krishna consciousness as it is. So what is the point anyway? They're not going to perfect their life. And we are thinking somehow, saying that, somehow if we can give them Krishna consciousness, but we are not giving them Krishna consciousness. We are giving them something which looks like Krishna consciousness. That is not Krishna consciousness. This is how different is it from Ritviks? How different is it from what they are doing? They also are saying the same thing, that we are also giving Krishna consciousness, but they're not giving real Krishna consciousness. They're giving their own version of Krishna consciousness. So let's give Prabhupada's version of Krishna consciousness, not our own version of Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada never held back things, and he was very clear upfront. The mood was, there are rules. The mood was, there are rules. So, okay, maybe in the detail, maybe something got missed. Okay, it came up sometime later, it's okay. But the mood is not, ha, theek hai, do whatever you want. This mood itself will create that expectation, saying that, okay, maybe it's only so many rules. Which is why we make it very clear, saying that, no, there are rules. You can't do Krishna consciousness without following rules. There are rules, and we will reveal the rules as stages, right? But there are rules. It's not that Krishna consciousness is whimsical, like however you want to do, you can do. No, you can't do. There are rules. And which is why this mode of preaching, we have compassion for jivas. We know that it is difficult for them to follow, but at the same time, we don't want to cheat them. We want to tell them, saying that there are rules, and I give simple rationale. Why there are rules? A person who has diabetes has to follow rules, isn't it? If he doesn't follow rules, what is going to happen to his health? Gone. Similarly, we are in this, diseased condition, bhava and we need medicine. Medicine is Krishna consciousness. And like any chronic disease has rules, restrictions, devotion also has rules and restrictions. Now, without the rules and restrictions, what will happen? We will remain in a diseased condition. It's so simple to understand. Why is it made such a big deal? It's a very simple thing. You can't cure yourself of a disease if you're not following prescription. It's so simple. But people don't speak this. They don't speak this language. They are so afraid, so afraid. I don't know what they're afraid of. Anyway, I'm just expressing the pain that Mataji felt yesterday. So, okay. Nayat prasada yuta bhagalesham अन्ये च देवा गुरवो जना स्वयं कर्तुम sameta prabhavanti pumsastam ishwaram tvam sharanam prapadye. Neither all the demigods, nor the so-called gurus, nor all the people, either independently or together, can offer mercy that equals even 1/10,000 of yours, 10,000th of yours. Therefore, I wish to take shelter of your lotus feet. Kamaisthaiste hritagnaanaha prapadyante anya devataha. People in general, being motivated by material desires, worship the demigods to get fruitive results very quickly. People generally do not become devotees of Lord Vishnu, since Lord Vishnu never becomes the order supplier of his devotee. Lord Vishnu does not give a devotee benedictions that will create a further demand for benedictions. This is very, very important. Demigods have they're obliged, they're bound by these rules. So anybody does some puja, some whatever, asking for something, and if they've done it right, they are obliged to give. Vishnu or Krishna are not obliged to give. So Prabhupada is writing here, Krishna or Vishnu, they will not give benedictions to a devotee in such a way that it will create more demand. Dil mange more. So he will not encourage this dil mange more business. Lord Krishna is very merciful. The way Krishna does is he fulfills the desires of devotees when they come into Krishna consciousness. But then he also purifies them in such a way that they stop asking things from Krishna. This is the beauty of Krishna or Vishnu. Okay, but and those who don't come under the training or do proper Shravanam Kirtanam and who remain with their material desires will not get the shelter of Krishna. Very simple. They will not get the shelter of Krishna. Of course, Krishna will not leave them as like that, right? He knows that he's not ready for me yet. So he's going to somehow, back him up somewhere, somewhere, so that he's tracking him because he came to Krishna once. Krishna has his own GPS system. So he tracks his devotees and also those devotees who came and then went away. And he makes sure that they are taken care. He makes sure that those souls are also taken care, but possibly will be in a more indirect, slower manner. But because Krishna will never encourage this. Krishna doesn't want, in one sense, Vishnu, because he is doing the role of maintenance in this material world, and there are so many people who have so much of sinful life and sinful earnings. As Balaji in Tirupati, he's sitting and accepting everybody's sins in way of their donations, dana. Right? And it's his mercy because otherwise Kali Yuga people have no hope. Have no hope. But Krishna is even more straightforward because Krishna doesn't have any palana work of maintaining this material world. So he doesn't even bother to go in that direction. He'll just say, "Come to me, I will wash you out." That's all, clean, right? I will not give you an option also to remain. And how does he do it? Through his devotees, through Prabhupada, through Prabhupada's books. When one comes in touch with Prabhupada's books, they won't find anything like sense gratification, like mixed devotional service in Prabhupada's books. They find only pure devotion. They find only things about saying that do it for the pleasure of Guru, do it for the pleasure of Krishna. So through his Acharya for this fallen age, Krishna has clearly expressed what his intent is. He doesn't want people to come and stick to material desires. Because he says, Artho Artharthi Jignasu Gnani Cha Bharatarshapa. He's okay with people coming to him with material desires. But by way of preaching, he purifies them. Which is why that preaching, when we are doing the service of preaching, we should be spreading whatever Prabhupada wanted us to spread, not whatever we want to give. By worshipping the demigods, one may get results, but as described in Bhagavad Gita, Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasam. Whatever great benedictions one may achieve from the demigods are all temporary, because the demigod themselves are temporary. Their benedictions are also temporary and have no permanent value. Those who aspire for such benedictions have a poor fund of knowledge. Poor fund of knowledge means dull, no intelligence, basically. That's what it is. The benedictions of Lord Vishnu are different. By the mercy of the Lord Vishnu, one can be completely freed from material contamination and go back home, back to Godhead. Of course, Vishnu also plays in two ways, as in his role in two ways. One is those who are not devotees, who are just coming for desire, desire, desire. And then there's those who become devotees. And those who become devotees, for them also, they will come out of material desires, etc. But those who just want to do business with the Lord, Bhagavatam says, Akama sarvakamo va moksha kamo udarati. Okay, instead of going to some other demigod, it's okay, come to me. Krishna, at least, Vishnu wants them to come to him. So what he does, he fulfills their desires. Then they think, oh, 1 year I came to Balaji, I put money in the hundi, I got this. Next year I will again go. Balaji says, come. You come again. And then they come. And then after many years, I can say that it's also my life's experience. I did it for maybe more than 10, 15 years of my life. That's what my father taught me. My parents were, very sattvic and They were worshippers of Balaji, and we used to go to Tirupati at least twice a year, if not more, at least twice a year. And every time I remember, my mom used to tell, I used to be like, even when I was small, health was a little bit frail, etc. So, they used to have that time some aluminum zinc plates, on which you will have a house, you will have one leg, you will have eyes, you will have ears, whatever you have problem, you can take that and put it in the hundi with some money. And for us, it used to be like, I'm in the line where that person has not come. It's more than actually seeing Balaji. That was our ritual. And I've done it for so many years, asking, 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 asking. And I remember when I was in college, I used to be always worried about my marks. And um, every time I give an exam, then after that I go, Balaji, see, I put money in the hundi. Yeah, my marks, please. I put effort also. I'm not asking you to give, not for free mercy, but I've written plus you please give me also. I remember every year, 8 semesters, every exam, I've done that. And somehow mercifully, he brought me to, purity, uh, brought me to pure devotional service. So he will do it eventually, um, provided we are at least a little bit, some Agnata Sukruti, something to bring us in touch with devotees. That's all that is required. So at the end of the day, really, Krishna is somewhere, Prabhupada is somewhere. Mm, who matters to us really on the ground is devotees, right? Uh, which is why devotion cannot be done unless we are in quality association. If we are in quality association, then we can do wonderful service for pleasure of Guru and Krishna. Mm. Um, and we're happy that Krishna has actually given us that kind of association, and we pray that it remains and only grows. And I always pray saying that we should never have contamination coming in. We should have the same pure mood in which we are doing service forever till we are alive in this material world. Um, that's all we want. Mm. Therefore, the benedictions offered by demigods cannot compare to even 1/10,000th of the Lord's benedictions. One should not therefore try to obtain benedictions from the demigods or false gurus. Prabhupada is writing. This is another big cheating business. Hmm. One should aspire only for the benediction offered by the Supreme Lord. As the Lord says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Shanamrita. So we should be careful. Indians are sentimental. In that way, Westerners are not sentimental. They're very logical. They want to understand what they're doing, why they're doing. They might take time, they might accept, not accept, but if they accept, then there's a very strong foundation. Indians want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. So obviously it is sentimental. Oh, yes, 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 this person is saying exactly like what I also thought like this only. So I should also be in Guru. I should also have been Guru. So he's saying, telling exactly what so amazing this person is. Why amazing? Because he's saying what I want to hear. But how do you know whether he's true or not? Unless you come to Prabhupada. Really, I mean, multiple times I keep thinking, saying that such a fortune, such a big fortune, it's just unimaginable that we got shelter of Prabhupada. And before coming to ISKCON, I read so many other books and, so-called Swamis and all that. And I mean, after reading Prabhupada's books, I just felt that they really didn't know what to write. They didn't know what to write, and so they could not explain what Krishna is saying. And we are so fortunate. We don't know, and I feel so bad, when devotees leave Prabhupada's shelter and go away. You know, and at least, we should not become the cause for that. We should not become the cause for that. Neither by just telling whatever they want to hear, or at the same time, it's not that we become so inconsiderate and in uncompassionate, not discompassionate to people. Not even that. Both are required. We have to take care of devotees, let them understand what is Krishna consciousness, help them on the path, and thus please, Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so I'll end here. Any questions, comments? Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any comments, questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Ah,
Dandavat Pranam.
Pranam Mataji.
Today morning in the Shikshashta Namamrita, you told that hypocrisy is present in this world,
Yeah.
and most of them are hypocrites. So, in devotional life on a daily basis, how it affects us and what way we are hypocrite? Can you elaborate, Prabhuji, so that
Okay.
we try to rectify?
Okay. So, see, hypocrisy basically means telling one thing, doing something else. So sometimes, we speak in a way that we are pleasing somebody, but maybe they've done a mistake and they need to be corrected. By not maybe correcting them when we are in a position to correct. So this is also important. Suppose I'm in a position to correct and I'm not correcting somebody and just saying, ha ha ha, okay, it's okay, then I'm being hypocrite. Because I know in my heart saying that what that person has done is wrong and it's not good for that person's devotion. But if I don't try to correct them with the same similar lines, with the fear that, if I correct them, then they're going to go away from Krishna consciousness. Yesterday also I was talking to one devotee and I was so surprised. A devotee was saying that, Prabhu, we allow everybody to do service, at least they're doing some service. I said like, boss, but you're doing service to Krishna. Do you think Krishna is okay with some service? How did we decide this? How did we decide that Krishna is ready to accept any service? And Krishna is saying, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. If you don't teach devotees devotion, what do you think Krishna is sitting there to just accept garbage that we are throwing at him? So it's a form of hypocrisy by telling people saying that it's okay, you do whatever you want. So which is why, in at least in our center, we have made it a point saying that even if somebody has to offer bhoga, we don't have deities here. And many people come and ask saying that you don't have deities, why do you have such strict rules for offering bhoga? We say because we are training people. We want to train people because this is the standard. You come to chanting 16 rounds, you can offer bhoga. Right? So we have to be careful that we just don't mislead people. Please let us not become acharyas. We are not acharyas. We are supposed to follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, who has given us the position of being preachers in ISKCON or even devotees for that matter? Because every devotee preaches by their action. So hypocrisy means just cheating people, not with any intention, just with the intention of some kind of fear that we will lose that person. No, but always there are ways to explain, right? If there is something difficult to explain, we can always try to be nice and help them understand. Like I said, rules are there because we are in a diseased condition. Anybody can understand this logic. How difficult it is to understand saying that a diabetic person is asked by the doctor to follow rules. And if he doesn't follow rules, his health is going to go for a toss. So we should try to explain in a way they can understand. It's not also right just to say, no, no, I am saying so, do it. People will think then, there's some despot, right? Some autocrat here, right? Everything has to be just done the way he wants, and there's no rational. Today morning also, flowers which were offered to the Lord, I went and told the devotee who done the garland saying, Mataji, there is a standard, there is a standard length. We can't keep changing this length as per our whims day in, day out. Krishna is a person. Krishna one day is saying, the garland is up to his knee. Then another day is seeing it, it's come up. It's like, what is this? Why can't we offer a fixed length garland to the Lord? How difficult is it? Okay, now you might ask saying that, okay, what is the big deal, Prabhu, after all? We're just offering. Devotee has done with so much, attention. No, it's not full attention. Attention means to think, okay, when Krishna wears it, will he be happy? That is attention. So we are not trying to discourage people. We are trying to encourage people to bring them to the standard of devotion which is going to please Guru and Krishna, which is going to please Prabhupada. Not doing it is hypocrisy. And then there are other gross forms of hypocrisy. Cheating, telling something in front of you, going and talking about you behind your back. There are various kinds of hypocrisy, but I don't think at least For in our context, we won't end up doing all that. But at least we should understand that, we should not cheat people. We should tell them what is there and understand a way, learn a way in which it has to be communicated. But that's all it is. Anyway, it's a big topic. Like I said, you please read Vaishnava K. Please read Vaishnava K. Like I said, His Holiness Jaipatak Maharaj has written a beautiful commentary on that. Please read that book. It's available. We can discuss some other time. Okay, anything else? Compromising principles in the name of humility. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Compromising principles in the name of humility. Uh, so one of the criteria we have for devotees who want to make progress is no compromise based on humility. Meaning, if somebody comes and says do this and it's wrong, then I'll say no, no. See, if I say I won't do, then it will look rude. Maybe I will be seen as, not a humble person. So I will just simply say yes to whatever that person says. It's not correct. If you know that something is not correct, don't do it. Just say humbly, saying that, sorry, we have learned from Prabhupada's books that this is not allowed. That's also a form of hypocrisy. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Prabhuji, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Even from past 5 years, I was told only onion garlic is to be avoided. What else we should avoid? Soya and
Okay.
masoor dal.
Yeah, soya and masoor, definitely. Then there are, see, Hari Bhakti Vilas goes into a little bit. Okay, so in general, whatever acharyas have done is taken a more practical approach to Krishna consciousness and have said things that really very badly affect our consciousness. Now, for example, Hari Bhakti Vilas also talks about brinjal, that we should not eat brinjal, but our acharyas like Prabhupada did not impose that. Why? Because brinjal increases rajas. Okay, anything which is pitta, high pitta increases rajas. But Prabhupada was not like so much this one. So he just said masoor dal and soya bean mainly because it's high protein, increases rajas and tamas. Mm. So that is why these are to be avoided. But in general, yeah, mushroom should be avoided. Huh?
Okay.
Soya, yeah, masoor, soya, mushroom, onion, garlic. Pretty much, I think. Yeah, and just on Ekadashis, we have to be clear about what we have to offer. But yeah, otherwise there aren't any. There's a big list in Hari Bhakti Vilas. It's even like some types of milk. Like some people drink goat milk or something. Like even those are not recommended. Like I said, brinjal, but brinjal is okay. I mean, huh? No, no, it's not like it's can be used in moderate quantities. It's not like forbidden. There are forbidden items, right? Uh, because see, chili, you're not going to make a chili palya, right? You're going to use chili as like whatever, little bit for spice. But like something like brinjal, you're going to have brinjal sabji, right? Which means that you're going to eat a lot of brinjal, right? So, but it's okay. But these five primarily, and of course, see anything which is brought from factory, bread, bun, blah blah, all these things. Huh? What? Yeah, masala. Actually, we are supposed to make masala, but it's still not done with. I mean, it doesn't have any bad ingredients as such, right? It should see if we get very fanatic, then it's going to be difficult, right? So what we do, at least what I do, is there is one place from where we get this masala, which is done by not a factory, by mata women who are who are also nicely taken care of, and the owner of that place is like very sattvic kind of person. He gives a good environment for people, and it's a little bit sattvic kind of approach. It started off as one lady's in their house. She started selling, and now it's become slightly big. And it's so we don't get this mostly like MTR or, but it's okay. I mean, it's not. Which is why, Prabhupada did not make it so strict that it becomes impossible to live in this world. But there are some things which have to be absolutely avoided because it creates huge degradation in consciousness. Like these five items create great degradation in consciousness, so it should be avoided. But others are not. I mean, I've not heard anything else being Yeah, that should be avoided. Of course, non-vegetarian, but apart from that, these things are only those to be avoided. Okay, anything else? Okay, we'll close here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhavacha, Patitanam Pavane Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Samveta Gauravatam. Hare Krishna.